Good evening and welcome to the Grace Talk. I am Gloria Godson. Thank you for joining us today. 2020 has been a very tough year for everybody, but it has been particularly hard for small business owners. My guest today knows firsthand the tremendous toll that the 2020 shutdowns have had on small businesses. My guest is Sandy Webb, outstanding businesswoman and compassionate Christian. Sandy, welcome to the Grace Talk.
Thank you. Thank you, Gloria.
Now, Sandy, I know you as a businesswoman, and excellence in business is how I would describe you. But our audience they don't know you. This is your first time on the Grace Talk. So introduce yourself to our audience. Who is Sandy Webb?
Thank you, Gloria. So for those who don't know me, I own the Salad Works in Middletown and Dover, Delaware. We've been located in Middletown going on 10 years now. So it's been quite a ride. In Dover, we've been at that location for about 3 years. So I appreciate that you said that you know me for my excellence as a business owner. And you had mentioned to me that you also didn't even know for a while when you were seeing me that I was the business owner. Mm-hmm. And I'll take that as a good sign that I am doing something right, because I try to remain humble. And I try to not elevate myself, but yet be that compassionate business owner that is right there alongside of my employees, doing the same things that they're doing, and yet giving the direction and leading the business forward.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And that's correct. I've been eating at that Salad Works for a long time. My family, we eat there. Mm-hmm. And I really did not know that Sandy was the business owner until the day that I specifically asked for the business owner. And she's always there. She's always hardworking, working just like everybody else. And so that really caught my attention. I thought that was spectacular, the way that she led that organization. And I go there, everyone who knows me know I have a commitment to excellence. And I go there because it's a beautiful place. It's excellent. The place is always in tip-top condition. The employees are very respectful, and there's a lot of customer care. So there are many things that I can say about your business. But tell us your journey to owning not one, but two the Salad Works restaurants in Delaware. What is your journey to business?
Yeah, so from the time that I was out of college, I always knew I wanted to start my own business. I just really didn't know what it would eventually look like. And so through the decades of working for corporate America, I did not appreciate how often the employees would not be treated well, how very often the management would look to employees to push numbers, to improve profitability, but really not focus on what made any business, which was the employees. And so that made me even more determined to start my own business. And so eventually when I landed on the decision to start a Salad Works franchise in Middletown, I really started it from a servant leadership position. My goal was not to become filthy rich. My goal was to be able to make a reasonable living to help support my family, and to also give back to the community by providing jobs for people, maybe for somebody who had made some bad choices in life and needed a restart, somebody who was down and out and needed somebody to believe in them and lift them up and encourage them to be the best version of themselves that they could be. And those really, truly in my heart were my goals for what I wanted to accomplish, creating a safe learning environment for students. I was so dismayed, I'll say, when I was interviewing applicants, and I was overwhelmed with applicants that had zero interviewing skills. And so from that moment, before we even opened our doors, I was determined that I was going to get invested in the schools and help with workplace learning, which I did. I did eventually help start up the first work-based learning in restaurants in Middletown. So, those were really part of what my vision was once I got to the point of opening the SalWorks franchise.
Thank you, Sandy. And again, for those who are on Facebook, feel free, if you have any questions for Sandy, I will make sure that she gets them and that she answers them. So, or if you have any comments for her, please write those comments down. Now, Sandy, in addition to being a businesswoman, you are a wife and a mom. Yeah. I was there last week, and I've been seeing your son. Just like you, I suspected that he was related to you, but I finally asked him. Again, I see him all the time, and he confirmed that he is your son. How do you balance those two aspects of your life?
Well, I shall say, honestly, not always so well, because, and my family would attest to that. Once we opened the restaurants, running the businesses has been a very overwhelming and often monumental type of task. I shouldn't say task, but it's nonstop. And so I have not done a great job of creating balance, although I do tell everybody else that I want work-life balance for them. So at least I help achieve that for other people.
But again, that's actually a tough thing for the actual business owner. And I say that because my sons are entrepreneurs. And when everybody goes home, it's your job to make sure that the business continues. Yeah. So that's a really tough call for the actual business owners, because really the buck stops with you. Yeah. And it is your business to, and you want it to succeed. Now, Sandy, let's get to what I think is the most important thing for you, and that is your faith. Mm-hmm. How have you been able, to manage your faith in business? You live right at the intersection of faith and commerce. And how has your faith impacted your work, your work?
Yeah, it's interesting that you use that word intersection, because that's exactly how I was thinking of it too as I was preparing for this evening. It's a crossroads, and literally you could you could intersect the words kingdom and business, and they intersect perfectly on the cross, and that's what it is. So as my faith has always been right from go a critical part of my business. And, I'll talk to the good and the bad times, the rough times, and the blessings and the challenges through all of that. But I can say that, just like I mentioned before, I had a servant's heart really around what I wanted to accomplish when I started the business. And even though there were some flaws in my thinking, and I'll talk about that, the growth that I've experienced through all of the challenges and kind of coming to terms with some of my flaws that got in the way of doing business really the whole way that I wanted to, or thought that I should be doing, doing business to build God's kingdom. At times I would say, okay, I'm done. I need to be done with this. And then sitting where I am right now today, I wouldn't trade it for anything. So if you don't mind, you want me to just roll right into?
Yep, roll right. Go
okay. So when we were talking about tonight, we talked about aligning our business purpose with God's will, building God's kingdom. And so when we think about our own purpose in life, that's really what it is. It's to build God's kingdom. And that doesn't change just because we become a business person. As business owners, we still have that same goal, which is to align our business purpose with building God's kingdom. And so while there are many aspects of building God's kingdom that we could discuss, I'm really going to focus on integrity. Because to me, integrity is where the rubber meets the road. If you think of integrity as like as fortification. Integrity is what helps provide the continuity, the consistency between your beliefs and your behavior, between your words and your ways, between your attitudes and your actions, and your values and your practices. So it's not only just saying all the right things, it's about doing all of those right things. And when you don't, admitting it. So just to talk a little bit more on purpose. So a successful Christian business is marked by its effect on the lives of others. It should be able to help improve and enrich the lives of those that it serves. So I'm sorry, can I take one brief moment to attend to my dog, who I am so sorry. Give me one moment.
That's okay. That's part of the work-life balance.
It is. Even my dog needs to be by my side at all times, but.
And I forgot to ask about your dog. He's part of the family too.
He is. So as part of our role in enriching the lives of others, we think about the atmosphere of the business, the attitude as an owner. Everything that we do should bring glory to God. And just as it says in Colossians 3:23, and whatever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not to men, since you know you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. And that is absolutely true in our business life. So we need to remember that always. So having that as defining what our purpose is, when we serve the Lord, we are building God's kingdom. So whether or not you're a for-profit or a not-for-profit, you represent Jesus through your servant leadership. And I think I can't speak enough to how that plays a critical role in the lives of everyone that you touch, even if, like yours and my interactions prior to us actually starting some real conversations. And we've had some amazing real conversations. But it was smiles, even masked smiles, you still get the warmth of a smile. And that smile that you give to somebody may be the most uplifting thing that happens to them all day. So it's little things like that, when you approach customers and you approach employees with a cheerful heart, it comes through, and they're in the presence of God, whether they know it or not.
That's right.
And it could be other things like decisions, like little decisions that we make, every little thing, everything we say, everything we do is either building God's kingdom or it's not, so that's why, when I started my business, right from the first day, I had core values that I had posted throughout my restaurant for my employees to see. And all the core values were focused on my faith-based beliefs. So the core values were do the right thing for the right reason. Not just because somebody's watching you. So even if somebody's not watching you, you do the right thing, or respect each other, value each other, say what you mean, let your yes be yes, not your no be no, things like that. And so those are all ways that I, at least for my business, I've brought God's purpose for me into the workplace. So if we move on from purpose and then talk about integrity, because as I mentioned, like that for me is where the rubber meets the road. It's the most critical quality that we need in order to truly fulfill the purpose of building God's kingdom. And I say that because as I use the word fortification, integrity is fortification for us. And we look at Jesus, who was our perfect role model. He was the truth. He had words of wisdom that he always shared. He demonstrated courage to speak out for injustice. He was a servant to all and cared for the least of these. He lived out his beliefs. He walked the walk, talked the talk, and he gave the most selfless sacrifice for all. So we have Jesus, who's given us that perfect role modeling in how to live our lives. And the Bible has a lot to say about integrity. I'm not going to read through all of the verses. I could tell you just a few of them that I've jotted down. So integrity means treating people fairly and honestly. Um, Integrity is giving your word and keeping it. Integrity protects you. The Lord will test and judge your integrity, and integrity will be rewarded. Um, and I could, if anybody's interested, I would be happy to share the different verses. But there are many, many, many different verses in the Bible that point us to how important integrity is for us in how we live our lives. Um, so when we think as business people, like, I really think about the different characteristics or traits that demonstrate good integrity or true integrity. So being gracious, being respectful, being reliable, and hardworking, being helpful towards others, and kind-hearted, being accountable. Those are all some of the traits, but the actions and how we actually live that out are things like taking responsibility for ourselves, putting others' needs above our own, offering help to others, giving others the benefit of the doubt, choosing honesty in all our ways, showing respect to anyone and everyone, showing humility, being able to admit when you're wrong, being reliable, conveying true kindness. Those are just some of the types of generic actions, but really, when we think about it, like as an employer, paying your employees fairly, right? How important is that to integrity? It's paramount. Having a respectful, friendly work environment. Employees deserve that. That's what they deserve. Even as a business partner, having accurate scales. So not trying to get away with something just because you could, even if you can, being fair about things with your suppliers. When it comes to the government, pay Caesar what is due Caesar. So you pay your taxes and don't try and circumvent the rules and regulations, even if you don't agree with them. And from a customer and community standpoint, always have truthful advertising. Always, I actually hear a lot from my corporate office that they want me to raise prices. And I have my prices, which are based on costs, and I don't price based on market. And so I've resisted their compulsion to always tell me to raise my prices, because I really feel down in my heart that if I'm making a reasonable profit, I'm happy with that. Why should I want more? Why should I try and have any kind of unfair pricing just because? And so I think that that's a really critical point as well. And then as you've said, which I appreciate hearing, exceptional customer service, being punctual, being neat, being friendly, having that whole package. So yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Sandy. I'm glad I let you go there, because that is outstanding to hear you say that. Not from my prompting, but just from your own personal convictions. And so it's very comforting to hear you say that. And also to hear you say, and I wrote it down, that the goal of business is to enrich the lives of other people. That is a very unusual business goal. Most people have a business goal, to enrich themselves and their families, but not to enrich the lives of others. So I really think that that's wonderful to hear, that that's the perspective that you bring to business. And that's definitely a godly perspective. And I can confirm that I have seen, now that I've heard you, I've seen that manifest in your restaurants. I've seen that servant attitude manifest. Now, Sandy, we're coming to the end of our show. It's amazing how quickly time flies.
Yes.
But I would ask you, if someone was listening to you today who is contemplating going into business, and right now they're kind of shocked with all that has happened in 2020, and they're thinking, not me, I don't think I'm going to do that, what would you say to them?
So in every decision, of course, take it to God. Because that's where I have where I have found that I've stumbled is when I have not consulted with God and listened to what God has to say. So I will put that as number one. But as far as managing through all of these challenging times, of course, I have established businesses. So we headed into the pandemic already having an existing business, and I'm thankful that that's where we were because I knew how to adapt. And so I do empathize with newer business owners who are more challenged to be able to kind of figure out how to adapt and pivot as quickly as we keep needing to have to adapt and pivot. But for somebody who is coming into or beginning to think about it, your dreams are all achievable, but you must stay grounded in your core values and align your core values with the purpose, the biblical purpose of building God's kingdom. If you're, you know, that, because if you do not stay true, then you'll find that things can go sideways. And so I would say that it is all achievable. You just have to have a very firm foundation that you're standing on. Gloria, I can't hear you right now.
No, your number one foundation is seek God and trust God, because God's purpose and plan is the best for you, and then follow that plan. And Sandy, let me ask you a related question. Somebody who is listening to you now, who is a business owner, current business owner, who has really gone through the roller coaster that 2020 has become for small business owners, what would you say to them? How would you encourage them today? If they're thinking of quitting or very concerned about how they're going to make ends meet going into the new year, what would be your words of advice to them?
Yeah, I can say with honesty that I was actually in that same place where I thought, I don't know if I can keep doing this, but God has a way of moving things aside. And I found that, you know, as soon as I turned over all of my burdens that I was holding on to for so long, that he did pick them up. But and that's important from a practical standpoint, though, to answer that question. It's really important to get support and to find a group of supporters who can help you to take away some of or let me start that over. It's important to find supporters who you're willing to share your challenges with, so they can help remove some of that overwhelming burden and help you to see what areas or what ways you might need to move. So if you're finding that you're having trouble pivoting or adapting to this environment, there are others of us who are out there who are going through it, who have gone through it. We've tried different things, some of them successful, some of them not, but use the network of other small business owners, Christian small business owners, to alleviate some of those challenges and the anxiety and the nerves that come with it.
Thank you, Sandy. That's certainly good advice for anybody, whether you have a job or a business, is reach out in this time. That's one of the unfortunate things that COVID-19 has tried to do, is to tear us apart and to keep us apart from each other. But thank God for technology. Thank God for Zoom. We can be together while apart. So Sandy's word of wisdom is the same for anybody out there. Don't isolate yourself. Reach out. God has help for you if you will trust him. Sandy, I would ask you as we close out today to share with our audience where your restaurants are. Where are you located?
So in Middletown is at 494 East Main Street. That's at Middletown Crossing Shopping Plaza, directly across from the Acme. And then down in Dover, it is directly across the street from DSU in the same parking lot as the Best Buy.
Oh, DSU, I was in that area the other day. I could have stopped right in into the one near Dover. Now that I know where it is, but the one in Middletown, I definitely am familiar with the Salad Works. Folks out there, thank you for listening to us today. It's been my delight to have Sandy Webb. She's the owner of two salad works, one in Middletown and one in Dover. And as you hear, Sandy has tremendous values-based approach to business. And those values are grounded in the Word of God. And I have seen firsthand the manifestation of the values that she has in the workplace and in the way that she serves customers. And I was her customer for a long time before I knew that she was the owner of the Salad Works, and we began our friendship. So thank you, Sandy. I would strongly encourage you guys to please support Sandy, support her restaurants in Middletown and in Dover, wherever you are. If you're in that area, please support Sandy and support our local businesses. They need us at this time to transition well into the new year. And that brings us to the end of our show today, folks. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Sandy, for what you do, and continue to be steadfast, continue to be faithful, continue to be an ambassador, really, of the gospel, even in the marketplace. We need all of us to stand up and be the faces and voices of Christ, not on Sunday mornings in church, but on Monday morning, Monday through Friday, in the normal places where we make money, to let our faith show forth and be visible in the places where we make money. God bless you. And everyone on Facebook, God bless you. Good night. And we'll see you again next week. Bye.